You know, in 1957, another politician came to Bedford, and that politician was the Conservative Prime Minister, Harold Macmillan. And he came and gave a speech just across the river from here to celebrate Britain's economic success. And he talked about the new jobs, higher wages, greater opportunities that people had had after the Second World War. And the speech became known as the speech where he declared, "You've never had it so good." Now today in Bedford and today in Britain, things feel very different. Small business people, including many people gathered here, are working harder than ever before. People are working harder than ever before. But for far too many, wages are falling and prices are rising. And they feel worse off, not better off. Far from feeling they've never had it so good, millions of people in Britain think, are we going to ever have it so good again? And the question that people ask me is, how are we going to turn this around? And that's what I've come to Bedford to talk about. Because I think it starts with a truth that we have forgotten as a country. That economic recovery will be made by the many, not just by a few at the top. Britain needs great, successful, big business leaders. It needs them to feel rewarded and supported. But they know better than anyone that they can't succeed on their own. It's only when working people have confidence and security, when everyone's sons and daughters have the chances to get the skills they need, when enterprising small businesses can flourish and succeed, and when together we build world-class services, that our country can prosper. And you know, that's not a Labour idea or a Conservative idea. It's a British idea. And it's what I want to talk to you about today. Previous generations knew the truth. Our economic success depends on the success of working people. In the Industrial Revolution, it wasn't just the mill owners and the factory bosses who drove our economy forward. It was the people who went down the mines, who spun the cotton, who built the bridges. They were the people responsible for our economic success. And you know, many of our world-leading engineers and inventors, they didn't come from wealthy families. They came from ordinary backgrounds. People like Thomas Telford, the great engineer, and Robert Stephenson, the inventor of the railway. And in the 19th century, Britain improved housing, built proper sanitation, ensured good working conditions, not just because it was fair, but because it was essential for our economy to succeed. Our country knew that economic success was made by the many, not just a few at the top. And you know that here in Bedford better than anyone. Because just down the road from here is the Stuart Beat brickworks. And from the Industrial Revolution to the 20th century, that gave jobs to thousands of people. The bricks that people of Bedford made constructed the houses that they and so many others lived in. And it was the good wages that they earned that made it possible for them to afford to buy their homes. Economic success was built with the hands of working people, but it was only sustained through the pockets of working people, because they could afford to buy those homes. And Britain knew this lesson too after the Second World War. We all know the history. We built great new public services to improve people's lives. An improved state education system, and of course the National Health Service. But the NHS and free education didn't just do that, they strengthened our economy as well. I think of my dad, who came to Britain as an immigrant and learned English at Acton Technical College. He was part of that generation for whom the post-war world was built, and who built the post-war world. It was only possible because Britain knew that a healthy, educated workforce was vital to our economic success. But you know, somewhere along the way, we forgot that lesson as a country. That a successful economy is made by the many, not just the few. And that's the lesson that we've got to relearn if we're going to succeed in the years ahead. Because people here know the truth. Right across Britain, people are putting in the hours, doing the shifts as never before. But something has changed over the last few years. There's less chance of promotion, less chance of a pay rise. Prices just go up and up and up. Petrol for the car, tickets for the train, childcare for the kids, deposits for a first home. The squeezed middle has never been so squeezed. And the bad news is that if we carry on as we are, things won't get better. Now, why are we in this position? Well, it's no wonder our economy isn't growing when people can't afford to buy the goods and services that they're producing and selling. And then think too about the skills of working people that we need for our economy to succeed. Young people here in this training centre are getting absolutely fantastic help thanks to the Bedford training group. But so many young people across Britain aren't getting that help. And every time a young person with ambition and talent can't get on, it isn't just bad for them, it's bad for our economy as well. Some of you today, who are here today, run small businesses. Your businesses are vital to the future of our economy. But today, many small businesses across Britain just don't have the orders to keep them growing, hiring and investing. And all they hear from the banks are promises about a better tomorrow. But tomorrow never seems to come.
I think what I'm talking about today, how we can restore the 10% tax rate to help cut taxes for 25 million basic rate taxpayers across the country, and many people in Bedford, is absolutely what Bedford needs. There is a living standards crisis in this country, and the government may not realise there's a living standards crisis, but there is, and it's time to get a government that's going to do something about it, and that's what a Labour government will do.
Hedge funds and speculators can buy shares in the company and vote in the takeover bid just to make a fast buck. It's wrong, and it damages good British companies, and a Labour government would stop it happening. And One Nation Labour will also work with companies and workers to encourage a living wage across the country. But we also need to understand another big change in our economy if we're to succeed. Many new jobs in the future will come not from a small number of large businesses, but from a large number of small businesses.
Frankly, what we get from the government is lots of promises about making the banks work for small businesses, but then total failure to do so. We've said that if the banks don't change their culture, we'll break them up by law. That means separating out the investment banking and the high street banking. Why is that important? Because it means when small businesses go into the local branch, they'll know that the bank's actually serving their money isn't being gambled with by some investment bank. Secondly, what's important is the regional growth funds have been an innovation and have provided some support, but they haven't been sufficiently directed to small businesses in this country, including in Bedford. So we're saying we would refocus regional growth fund support to help small businesses, including small businesses that want to come together in clubs or in hubs or clusters to actually work together so that they can do better together than they can alone. So that's two specific things that we do for small business. A very, very important policy that we unveiled this morning, which is to say that we want to bring back the 10% tax rate, which the last Labour government abolished, and we were wrong to do so, and we want to pay for that through a mansion tax on houses over £2 million. Why is that important? First of all, it's important for tackling the living standards crisis that many families are facing, and that frankly this government is not tackling and is making worse. It's sending a message to people that if you work hard in this country, you will be rewarded. And thirdly, it's about saying Labour is back where it always should have been, on the side of working people. So I think today's announcement is a very clear signal and a very clear statement of direction about what the next Labour government will seek to do.